This week's something that may be just a little controversial, but in any event, it's Subaru's very first EV, the Solterra. I keep wanting to call this car the Sultana. It's an interesting looking thing, and this is also a Toyota BZ4X and a Lexus RZ. The co-development is very much like what they've done with the BRZ and the 86, and for the same reason, it's economic. Now, most people give you the prices of these cars, the recommended retail price, which doesn't really give you much of an idea of what you're going to pay when you drive out of the showroom. So if you're a private person in New South Wales, you'll pay $83,000 to drive away. $83,000. The range, regardless of what Subaru claims, was about 410 when I picked this up and had gone down to 380 after 6 kilometres. There are two models in the range. There's the Touring, which is the top one, and that's the one we're going to talk about today, and the Solterra all-wheel drive. All of them are all-wheel drive. All of them have two motors. Some of the Toyotas have one motor, but that's another story for another time. And they're 80 kilowatts per motor, one front, one back, for a total of 160. Under the bonnet, there's all the gubbins for the electric motors and the battery cooling. There is no front storage compartment in this car, which is a little bit of a shame. There's a camera and a couple of sensors here at the front, and I like the way they haven't tried to pretend that this is a internal combustion engine car by putting a fake grille on it. Although the taillights here look very Subaru, this bit is not. This bit is pure Toyota, and it's decorative except for the little vent bit at the back. So presumably that's there for some kind of airflow, but honestly I think it just looks awful. Don't like it on Toyotas, and I certainly don't like it on this. The side bit is just a reflector, and although this is considered an SUV, it's only got about 212 millimeters of ground clearance. It's got these weird buttresses out over the back. Now presumably this is all for airflow. Like all of these coupe style SUVs, it's got a very slopey back, which takes away from any of the real practicality the SUV had. The seats go down 60/40. This is the cables for charging out and about at home that plug into a source of some kind. There's a Harman Kardon subwoofer in the back. There's a close and a lock, and that's so that you don't have to go around to the front of the car to lock it. You can just lock it from the back. Where Solterra has been absolutely brilliant is in the back seat. You do have to duck down a little to get in, but there is an absolute mountain of space back here. Now this does have a sunroof. The sunroof is in two sections, although it's one bit from the outside. Look at the amount of space between my knee and the seat in front. There's seat heating for the two outer seats, plus a couple of USBs for each of the outer seats, and a air vent. And I think the back is generally a nice place to be. I've got a lovely view out the front. If you look to the side of the headrests, this is and this is much bigger than it looks too from the outside. That's a long way to the front. The steering wheel is this little semi-octagonal thing. Paddles behind for regenerative braking, and these are all the audio and driver assistance controls. Have a look at this though. It's a smallish tablet for the driver, still has all the information. There's no head-up display, but this you look over the top of the steering wheel, Peugeot style, which I'm not all that fussed on. I don't like these little bits at the side. They perform no function, and I think they just look ugly. But the rest of the cabin I think looks very nice, very smart. I think they've missed an opportunity here. This fabric isn't made from recycled fibres. I think they could have done something with that. But this is a nice wide landscape style infotainment system, and with wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Air conditioning controls down below with the sink if you please. Below that are the vents, not badly placed in my view. There's a whole lot of controls below that, including this weird, I suppose, Toyota style gear lever that you have to push down then left or right. X mode is what Subaru calls off-roading. Drive mode is for on the road. There's a view, and that brings up the camera. This is S pedal, which is Subaru's one pedal driving. There's brake hold, the electric parking brake, and over here is an automated parking system. Now look, I've got to tell you, I've not been able to get this to work. Apparently it's very easy, I just don't have the touch. Down below in the center console is a little cubby hole and some extra USBs and the 12-volt outlet. But up here, look, is the Qi charger, which my phone doesn't fit in. A couple of cup holders behind that, and a smallish center bin. This is the Subaru native system. There's some fixed buttons down the side. There we go, lovely. Now I could have done that by voice, but I'm not going to. You can see at the back the space is fairly decent and there's quite a good view. I'm just going to turn this mirror like this. The mirror also has a party trick. So there's a camera mounted on the back of the car, and this gives you a clear view just in case you've got people in the back or parcels or whatever. The range of 380 kilometers or thereabouts is not quite sufficient for a car costing $83,000. Subaru is by no means the only car to do that, but I still find it a little bit disappointing. Now I'm going to pop this into power mode. Most of the week I've been in normal and I haven't tried any of the off-road drive modes because don't go off-road. And I don't think most of you will either. Subaru, this is lovely handling, by the way. Lovely, absolutely lovely. Subaru has this rather cool Subarista, it's called, and it's a coffee house dash test drive center up in the snowy mountains, which I think is rather good. Alrighty, let's indicate. And 160 kilos, 160 kilowatts, I should say, for a car that weighs this much. I guess that's not too bad. Now going to turn on adaptive cruise control. Right. I haven't quite got a handle on the adaptive cruise control settings. The ride is very good. Handling, absolutely faultless for a car of this type. I mean, it's not a sports car by any means, but it gets you where you want to go when you want to be there comfortably. I did take this for a little drive down to Picton the other day, George IV Hotel. Do drop in for a steak and beer if you get a chance. One of Australia's oldest pubs, certainly one of the oldest ones in the area. I'm now cruising along and the auto steering is on. It went a little close to the line, then blamed me for it, which is fairly common. The charging takes about half an hour, so I'm told, to get to 80%. The maximum charging rate is 150 kilowatts. The battery's not all that big either. So for this price, which is against one of the bottom of the range Hyundai Ioniqs, I know this is Subaru's first attempt at a EV, but it's not Toyota's first attempt at an EV, and Toyota's been doing hybrids for a very long time. So I would expect that it would have had a shoe in to electrification. The steering feels kind of heavy and doesn't seem to change that much with drive modes. I did look for a setting for it and I couldn't find one. The other thing that I noticed about the one pedal driving is in some cars like Tesla and so forth, and by the way, you could get a Tesla Model Y for this price, I have a hard time actually trying to pick when the I pedal or E pedal or S pedal is working. It's off now. I'm slowing down gently. In some cars, the one pedal driving just about puts you through the window. Get onto some smoother road. Once you're on smooth road, Solterra is restful and zen-like, and that's what it was like on the highway. And the question I really struggle with is, would you buy this? Let's say you're not necessarily married to the idea of an EV, but you do want a Subaru, you're a Subaru customer. Would you buy this over an Outback? That's all this week from Subaru Solterra. Hit like, leave a comment, and just over there to subscribe.